Hey, welcome to the shop. So it's been a while since we've done much harbor freighting here on the channel, so I think we're about due. Now, this is their new shop press attachment to turn it into a press brake. We're gonna take a look at it and see how it works. All right, so I will say that the die looks pretty nice. Plate looks pretty nice. I don't know, maybe that's, what, 3/8 thick? All right, there's the punch. That looks pretty good too. Let's put this thing together. So here it is, you have this wide base plate that goes between the frames on the press, so I think you don't have to use arbor plates with this, but I'll check the manual for that. You've got your die right here, really well built, just fastened right down, and then these guide posts that are specifically machined, not just like an adapted bolt. And then right here, you can put your punch on, like this with those return springs. And right here on the punch itself, it has your rated capacities based on width. So at full width, you can do 3/16 of an inch aluminum, mild steel, but only 1/8 inch thick stainless steel. And the max thickness for a 3-inch wide piece is 5/16 in mild steel or 3/8 in aluminum. So this is the shop press. I'm gonna put it on. It's Harbor Freight's 12-ton, just basic shop press. It already has the SWAG Offroad press brake kit, so we can compare this one and the Harbor Freight version. So this SWAG Offroad version is a little bit wider than the Harbor Freight version. Here on the 12-ton, this is about 13.5 inches wide versus the 12 inches. So not a huge difference, but a little more width, but that doesn't increase the capacity that you can press with a given shop press. Now, one thing that I don't like on the SWAG version is that it sits on these arbor plates. And if you're just using the stock ones, these can break, and that always makes me just a little bit nervous when I'm bending something. Also, it doesn't clamp firmly onto this post right there, but it does secure to the side of the press, which is nice. So here are the two units side by side. You can see there's a lot of similarity, but there's that wide base plate that I was talking about, and also that solid die down there rather than this fabricated one made from angle iron that you weld along that edge. So I think overall the construction on the Harbor Freight one is better. This one is $159. This one's $210 for the build it yourself kit like I did, or $335 if you have them assemble it and ship it assembled. My intention for this one is actually to build its own frame so that I'll have a standalone small press brake that I can pick up and put on the bench. But that's not a project for today, so let's just try it out on that press. So I think I have the beam on the press set at the best height for this. There's this cup that I need to get over the top of this rod here, which means I'm gonna have to press those springs down. So hope I ate my Wheaties today. Oh, that wasn't so bad. I really like how it has 4 screws here to be able to clamp right down on the bar. So they're claiming this can work for 6-inch wide, 1/4 inch thick steel. And that's really what I'm hoping to do with this. I have some here. Let's try it out. I'm gonna stop just enough to hold it in place, and then I'll grab a square for it. Now, I will mention that SWAG one does have a backstop that I don't use. But this does not have a backstop, so that's another difference there. All right, that's sitting square. So I'm gonna use this angle gauge right here to be able to tell how far I've bent it. This is one of my most useful tools. If you don't have one, I'll put a link to this one in the description. It works pretty good. Yeah, I really should bolt this press down. I'm gonna try to go just a little past 45, which should give me about a 90 with some spring back. So one thing I'm looking for while it's here at max capacity is if this bottom plate is bending. And I don't see any bend. It's not forming a gap along this front or bend there. You know, this die comes almost to there, so it's not bending over a very long levers, so to say. So I think that's pretty good for being at the, you know, the max rated capacity of this thing. Let's open this up right here. All right, well, there you go. That's a bend at max capacity right there, 1/4 inch thick by 6 inch wide. It's going to be really useful for one-off brackets and things like that. Don't know that I'd want to run production on something like this, but for the price, 150 bucks, I mean, that's pretty good. Let's check the angle on it. This came out right here, 89.6. Right here on the other side, 89.7. So it's pretty straight across. That's a pretty good angle. You know, it probably comes down to being more lucky than good in this case, but yeah, it's definitely a pretty useful tool for brackets and stuff like this. Let's try some other materials. Okay, so this is some 6 inch wide by 1/4 inch thick 6061 aluminum. I expect this to crack with that tight bend radius, but I don't know, let's try it out. I've got some laying around here. A lot of people wonder why I cut the corner off these. It's so I can get around a fillet weld. Anyway, but still works fine for stuff like this. Yeah, there it broke. So that's one thing just to be aware of. It's nothing to do with this tool, to be honest with you. That's just the nature of 6061 aluminum. When you bend this alloy, you really need to have a bigger radius. So I don't know, I might be able to make a different punch for this that had round bar on the bottom. Then I think you could bend 6061. Let me get a little piece of 5052 and see if that bends a little better. So this right here is a little piece of 5052 aluminum. I expect that this will bend a bit better with a tight radius than that 5052. 3003 would probably even be better. All right, so that made a really nice bend on the 5052. And like I said, if you're gonna do a lot of sheet metal forming and you're not as worried about strength, 3003 is another good formable alloy. 6061 is stronger, but that comes with that you know, propensity to crack right here, especially on this thicker material. All right, now we're gonna do a full width bend here with this scrap I have laying around. I think it's 14 gauge. Let's go ahead and check it here. All right, for you old school guys, let me know in the comments if you know how to read one of these. I'm seeing right around 80 thousandths of an inch. This is a lot easier than the 1/4 inch, 6 inch wide, by the way. I mean, this is just a breeze to pump. All right, there you have it. Let's check for square. So I was thinking if I just bottomed it out, that'd be about right. But I way overshot it. It seems to be pretty consistent across the length. But putting the angle finder on and watching for that bend angle, that seems to be a worthwhile thing to do. Last up, I just want to see how some 16 gauge stainless holds up. Let's throw it in there. With the stiffness, I got a little bit more of a large radius, and I think that's because of the width down here in my die. If I had a more narrow die, I think that might work a little bit better for this stainless bend, but you know what? It's workable if this is what you got. All right, well, I think I'm gonna leave this one on here for now. There's a couple of things I liked better than the SWAG Offroad. One of them is this die here in the bottom being a solid piece, and it just has a little bit better shape to it, I think, than the one on the SWAG press where you have a radius in the bottom of the angle iron they use. This one is actually notched out so you can get all the way down to that 90 degrees. So I think that's a big improvement here compared to that one. Also, I like that it has its own base, so I'm not, you know, hanging back, squinting, waiting for one of those arbor plates to pop on me. So yeah, pretty good setup right here. Happy with it. I'm looking forward to building my own little press around it so I can have a tabletop dedicated press brake type unit. That'll be coming up in the future. If you want to see a video about that, let me know in the comments and we might make one. Thanks a ton for tuning in. If you are just learning to weld, be sure to check out the description for some links to my online courses. I'll teach you faster than you'll be able to learn just watching videos, and we'll see you next time.